Guy channel. The Car Guy channel. My name is Mike Hennessy. This show is all about cars and all four car guys. Get yourself a cold beer. Get yourself a cold beer, guys, because our show is... Yeah! We are smoking! I'm Mike Hennessy, and you're watching the Car Guy channel. I have an auto repair shop. I've been in the business for over 30 years. You name it, we got it, we built it, we've done it, we do it. We love this car stuff, and I hope you guys do too. We're gonna have a lot of fun, got a lot of stuff cooking, so just stay tuned.
Let's go surfing now, everybody's learning how. Come on a safari with me.
Welcome to the Car Guy channel. We have a fantastic show. We're going to bring you up to beat on a lot of cars that we're doing, and one of the cars, of course, is that Ford Falcon Ranchero. It's coming along absolutely spectacular. There's so much stuff going on with that car. I'm telling you, we're going to have to do a whole complete show about it. Dennis is going to be completely excited when we show him all the stuff. One of the episodes coming up, we'll show you the wood bed all done, but hey, I don't want to blow that surprise. I happen to have a car out of my collection that we're going to be going ahead and selling and maybe taking to some museums and some other shows in the area. 1951 Chevrolet Deluxe, and I'm telling you, this car here is absolutely spectacular. Hey, two things you don't touch. Hey, don't touch any of these cars. Don't touch that dial. Sit down, get yourself a cold one, because we got a great show.
Come surf, baby, wait and see, yeah.
The secret's out. I told you guys and gals, I've told you what the colors this car is going to be. This car right here is a two-tone. This right here is Blizzard Pearl and Bright Silver. Both of them are a Toyota color. This right here is used on Lexus and Toyota. This silver is also used on Toyota also. To do a two-tone and doing a 2 to 3 stage paint is extremely difficult and very time-consuming. The time it takes for the paints to dry before you can apply the next coats or the next colors or the next process, some of them take within a day or two before you can actually apply the next color. When after you have all the body work done on the car like we've shown in the show before, the car is done kind of you do your bondos, your fillers, and then you go ahead and do your primer. Now when you get the car pretty well ready to sand, then you go ahead and use what they call a primer sealer. Now primer sealer gets sprayed over the whole car, covers a lot of the scratches and all the little tiny things you don't want to show up. Spectacular way to go. I highly, highly recommend it. After you do the primer sealer, then you got to use the base coat. Anytime you do a pearl, you need the base coat. So when on the primer sealer, we actually used a white, very light color primer sealer. Then the base coat itself is a paint color, and it's actually kind of a softest white, not very glossy, kind of a semi-gloss white paint. And then we go ahead and paint it. Then that paint has to dry too. After that dries, then we can put on the Blizzard Pearl color. Very difficult to shoot because the pearl and the metallics in through it, it spreads on the car. You have to hold the guns at different angles to get this particular texture. And some areas didn't get it, and they had to be redone to make this car right. And then after you go ahead and do this, you got to clear coat the car. That's another whole complete step and a whole complete change. And if you think about it, you got to go ahead and do the 4-stage pearl first, because that's the bottom half of the car. This car here was sprayed with the doors off. We're going to show you the door jambs and how we split the two-tone. So after the doors were already two-toned and done with the pearl silver, then we bolted the doors on the car. Now we're able to go ahead and add the two-tone, which is the second color, on the bright silver. Sounds complicated. Let's walk you through a little bit of it, and we're going to open up the doors and show you a lot about the car. Check it out. Here's where we decided to go ahead and do the split. So remember, we went ahead and did all the pearl first. Did the pearl all through the door jamb on both sides, and we got that paint colored. Which means we have the primer sealer, we have the base coat, and we have the pearl, and we have the clear. After all the white is done, there's no silver painted on the car yet, then we can bolt the doors on the car. If you ask why do we got to bolt the doors on the car, is because we need to get this line completely identical to the line that's on the door all the way across. That's how anybody would want to do it to make sure it's correct. It is an older car. These hinges have a little bit of wear and tear, but we go ahead and make it best we possibly can, but to get this line completely straight. But then how do you do the door jamb? Where do you split it? Where do you do the two-tone? Well, we went ahead and used, actually the body has a lip. So when this fender here was made, this goes over the door jamb striker plate seal. This is what this here is. So this goes over it from the factory. So we went ahead and used this line. I thought it was pretty clever. Comed off right there. And then we were able to go ahead and do the whole complete paint. You got to do the car one more time. After all those processes are done, we bolt the doors on the car. Now we go ahead and paint the silver. If you think about that, car goes back through the spray booth the second time it goes through the spray booth to get done. That means completely remasking to do the car. Now before we did any of the pearls and any of the silver, anything done, we had to do the inside of the car. Inside the car is all done in black. This right here, the shelf, the back, the door panels are all black. The dash is black. Floors, of course, don't get seen. And that right there is another process again. So if you talk about using the inside, use a regular black color. Then you got to use the clear. Then you remask the whole inside of the car to do the pearl whites, and then go out. You could see, just for the way I'm talking, there's a lot of work to do in a two-tone, a lot of work to paint and doing a restoration on a car. But I want you to see how this is done, because I think it turned out beautiful. We painted the whole inside of the bed, which is the silver look on it. So the silver is the top coat color, which you can see. We went ahead and just did a little scratch right here just to see how well the polishing is going to start. And I just feel a little bit more comfortable waiting a few more days before we color sand and polish the car. When they use the word color sand, prep sanding, which what I mean is they start off really with about a 1500 grit sandpaper. You sand the whole complete car that way, and that's before you do the polish, and that usually leaves kind of a white residue which goes everywhere. And you don't want to be detailing the engine compartment, have this little white foamy crystally looking stuff all over the whole car. It's best to get it done now. It's just a step you're going to save on your stuff for cleanup. So we went ahead and just kind of scratched this area here and felt, man, this paint really should do with a couple more days of dryings. I usually like 10 to 15 days before I color sand and buff a car. So this right here was sanded lightly, and I still think it needs a couple more days to make this job here secure. But you're going to see a couple neat points what we did. We custom built these. These right here go inside the bed of the truck. Now actually this right here was Dennis's idea and his concept. He wanted to be able to put the gas in the car from the bed, not from the outside. He didn't really like the looks of the gas door, so he wanted us to go ahead and create something that went inside. But this right here is a great touch for the car. This will sit on top of this here, and that's where the gas door, a nice little chrome locking piece will be in there and be kind of hidden, so he can put gas in the car through the bed of the truck. He did a lot of research. He found his own steering wheel, how he wanted it, and this right here is absolutely spectacular. The wood grain, correct Falcon Sprint steering wheel. If you zoom in on the centerpiece, you can see it says Falcon Sprint right there in the center. Very, very cool. We came up originally with the I Did It steering column. This wheel did not fit on the standard I Did It steering columns that they do sell. We were a little disappointed. I thought, oh, we're going to have to go back to a standard steering wheel or some custom or something else. Dennis was determined, and I admired that greatly. He came into my office. We sat down. We got on the phone. We called I Did It, and believe it or not, they came up with a Falcon complete steering column with a tilt setup on it. We were ecstatic. We said, well, go ahead and order it so we'll fit this setup in. We went ahead and ordered it, and now we're going to go ahead and have the correct steering column with a steering wheel that Dennis wants. The car's over in the prep area doing our sanding and stuff and making sure our emblems go on okay. We pre-drilled all of them. Now, this is what Dennis' design was. He wanted to go ahead and have the 260, which is kind of the traditional retro-looking emblem that goes in the front fender and toward the front of it, in the middle-ish, on the bottom. This right here is the V8 emblem Dennis wanted on the car. Same with the Ranchero and the Falcon. This has really kind of a good look on it, and this is what Dennis chose. And we went through a lot of pains to make sure this was exactly what he wanted. But again, that's listening to your client, giving them really what they want, and after it's on the car, it has really a style and has a really good retro look. It looks absolutely spectacular. After these are here on and set up and polished, we're going to have Rory put a pinstripe on the car. Again, here's another thing is, what color is the pinstripe? Everybody at the shop, every customer's come by, even you guys at home, and say, geez, I'd put color XYZ. Dennis has an idea for the color, and I'm not going to tell you till you see it on the car in about 2 weeks. You're going to see what the new color is that we decided to put on the car to split the two-tone. All the techs working on this car all say the same thing, and I know at home you're going to kind of chuckle if you're building a car, you're working on a car. It's almost like Christmas every other day. Parts are coming in, opening boxes, what's this for, to pull it out. Everybody stands around to see really what that part is. But these right here are all custom handmade, and they look just absolutely spectacular. These will go into the bed of the truck. They're completely smooth as smooth gets, and they've been clear coated, and this wood is going to be in the bed of it. Now remember, Rancheros, there's really not a lot out there for aftermarket world on them, so a lot of this stuff is all custom made. So when you're thinking about doing a Falcon, it's a little bit different. Ranchero was a task. It's a very challenging task, and that's really what makes them really kind of a little bit expensive to do in some areas. This is the big bad boy that's going inside this Ranchero. This is a 302 with 360 horsepower. We went ahead and ordered this motor through ATK. Came up with all the ways that Dennis wanted to have. He wanted the performance on it, and we're going with a 4-speed transmission automatic. And so I think this is going to make this car a great driver. And some of the key points that we decided to do, we are going air conditioning, which you can see we got the compressor here, but we custom ordered this whole complete, they call a single belt drive, but it's not for the Ford products. We have to have one for the water pump and dual down here because we're having air conditioning. We got power steering, we got our alternator. This right here is the power plant that's going underneath of this car. Now this product channel is going to move pretty quickly, you're going to see on some of the episodes on the show, because now it's like building the model. You take your model apart, you paint your pieces, clean all your little goobers off on the plastic, and then you start to assemble it. And that's really the stage we're at now. Parts are in, things are going together pretty good. And again, the customers that have the patience for this, I really admire you guys for hanging in there with it, because that's really what it really takes to do it right, to make it nice. They do get done. And we're going to be going like crazy on this car, going like wildfire. So you'll be seeing a lot of episodes on this. I hope you like seeing a little bit about the Ranchero. Your boss just came by, and I said, I never met you before, have I?
No, we haven't met.
We haven't been that fortunate, have we?
No, we haven't.
Now, how long have you been here?
I've been about a year and a half now.
Now, I asked him earlier, how does he hire? When you came in for your job here, what was your qualifications come in?
I just came in, basically had a good reference from my buddy Mark, and talked to Mark here for a little bit about just my overall car knowledge, and he felt comfortable with me.
Hey, what the hell is your car knowledge?
My car knowledge, I do a lot of four-wheel drive stuff, building some small projects right now, but...
So if a guy's got a 4x4 thing, you can help answer questions that one of these other techs can't.
Exactly.
Good. Now, how old are you?
I'm 24.
24 years old. Do you want to make this a career? Is what you're working with?
I'm trying to work into it, yeah.
It's kind of cool, though, isn't it? There's some money to make in it.
There is.
Plus, you got to admit it. This is fun.
It's fun stuff. It is.
Yeah.
I do enjoy getting up and coming to my job in the morning.
And the other thing is he gets a lot of his parts at wholesale.
Exactly.
We're probably,
project's a little easier.
And we're kind of our own enemy sometimes, because we're trying to get our parts going. But you learn what's hot, what's not, what's new, what's exciting, and what's new that works that don't work. From customers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Good, buddy. Good job. We'll be seeing you through, and you got my orders coming through in the car, so get that stuff at my shop ASAP. I basically take precedence over any customer.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Boy, Elijah, well done.
No, you make me wanna shout, kick my heels up and shout, throw my hands up and shout, throw my head back and shout. Come on now, don't forget to see you will. Don't forget to see, yeah. Say you will.
I got something spectacular to show everybody. We always get cars. You get the high ones, fast ones, slow ones, the street rods, the trucks, and all the crazy things we get on the Car Guy channel. But we don't normally get a lot of really high original cars. When I say high original, this particular automobile we're going to show you today is rated one of the best in the world. It's rated so high that the book that documented this car is in that book, which we're going to show you later on through the show. 1951 Chevrolet Deluxe Sedan. This is absolutely a spectacular car. The neatest thing about it, one of the prettiest things about it, is the odometer. This car here just turned 30,000 miles, probably because of me driving it, and I'm telling you, you're going to love seeing everything about it. I'm going to explain why it's a deluxe, why it's not, and why this car here is one of the best examples in the whole world. There's a lot of information about these that are out there, and people have been street rodding these and buying them for many, many years. But in 1951, this right here was really not a real high production car. They didn't really make that many of them. This car sold brand new for under $1,600. Yes, I'm going to repeat that, under $1,600. That's when this car here sold. And I'm telling you, they didn't make really that many of them. When I say not many of them, about 3,500 and 3,441, whatever the books go ahead and say, of this particular breed and make and model. Now, it is a two-door, and it is a deluxe special fleet line car. And that just really makes this here a real special automobile. The neat thing, we're filming out of San Jose, California. This car was bought in brand new at a dealership here in San Jose, California, called Courtesy Chevrolet, way back in 1951. It was on the corner of Winchester and Stevens Creek. One owner bought this car, kept this car in such pristine condition. Now, what I really trying to emphasize and let everybody know, this is not a repaint. This is not not a re-chrome. This is not a re-interior car. There's been some mechanicals done. I had a few little oil leaks, and so I want to go ahead and just cover everything on the engine to make this thing here absolutely perfect for going into shows and museums and to be documented to be really is what it is. And I'm telling you, to see a car, you see a little bit of patina here and there. I'm kind of glad to see it. It just tells me this is the real deal. And the car's only original ones. Now, being a deluxe car, it had different trim things on the cars that were kind of specials really for the deluxe. And if you notice, some people weren't really sure much about this. Now, this right here is the Impala hood ornament. You would think that Impala hood ornament actually came out and debuted in 1959. Well, this right here was an option in 1951 from a dealer option. Dealer catalogs had all sorts of things you can order from the dealer itself. This just happens to be one of the items that you can put onto the car that is in a dealer accessory. Hey, let's go into the hood of this thing because there are some neat parts about this that really are going to take you back to 1951. This motor right here is a 216.2 cubic inch engine. They were called 216s. 216s inline 6-cylinder with overhead valve. The cam, of course, is the inside, valve springs, and the rocker arms are adjustable up here on the top. This is the way these were built, and this is the way they go. And for 92 horsepower. It still has the oil bath air cleaner. Now, if some of you don't know what I mean by an oil bath, this right here, this whole complete bathtub, round, whatever you want to call it, is actually filled with oil right about here. When you have the car serviced, they're supposed to clean this and take the oil out of here and put some fresh oil inside here. They take this screen out, clean it, and this sets right on top inside there, and oil helps keep the system nice and clean with the air. But one thing you can really tell, the sterileness and originality of this, all the steel tubing that is ran around here, all the bends, nothing's been touched, nothing's been monkeyed with and changed around. But there is something here that the dealers did add on in those years, and not every single car had them, really was an oil filter. Now, these oil filters are bolt onto the side of the intake manifold, and the tubes run all the way down to the side of the block for the oil pressure, pumps it in here, another tube brings it on out, and that's how the oil filter system works for this 216 engine. But back in the 40s and the 50s, 6-volt batteries still were in process and in service. The last 6-volt battery was in 1954. 55 obviously came into the 12-volt systems. 6-volt batteries, they were dependable to some degree. I don't want to say they would have been my choice, but they seemed to get along for quite a few years. But you can see the simplicity of the engine compartment here, and you got a voltage regulator, generator, and radiator, and that's pretty much what you had to do to get going. Not every car had these, and I'm talking about heater hoses. Not every car had heaters. Some cars were heater delete. Basically, to get the car about as least expensive as you could, you were just looking for a power plant and a body to take you to point A to point B, but heaters were an option. This right here has heater hoses going to it, so when you open the hood, you see 2 hoses coming to this union right here. You know you got a heater. Get a lot of cars brought over to the shop, and some people claim we got a low-mile car, original car. There's a way to look at this stuff here. Being an educated professional mechanic as myself, my shop, people, good mechanics out there, a lot of you folks, a lot of things you can catch pretty quick, and we're doing the quick eye. When you lift the hood of the car, and you go ahead and you got the cloth-covered wires coming here, the way the color codes on them, you kind of see that they're kind of, you know, the colors are kind of faded out and whatnot, but the color's actually in the striping inside these right here. You can see this has a little bit of green, this had red with a little bit of green, and so on. There's a little white striping in some of this, and that's how you kind of tell real quickly this has never been monkeyed with or taken apart. You know, some guys have done so many goofy things between the years, but when you see the horn, the wires, and to see the setup like this, this is all the telltale sign that this right here is the real deal. Let's cover a few things that's on the deluxe car. Now, these right here are some air vents that were put on. 1951 was the first year they came across it, kind of either nickel type coating on them. This is the first year, 1951. And same way with these right here, this bumper guard. For a deluxe model car, this right here could be on a deluxe car. You could go into the dealer and tell them exactly what you want to put onto it. So being a deluxe, that's the way to go. A quick way to go ahead and let all the guys know you really got the deluxe model from probably about 40 feet away is the chrome that goes around the windows. All deluxe cars had the chrome that went around the windows, and a standard car only had the black trim. So if you pull up and you have that on your car, shows you're the man. Now, if they didn't see the chrome around the front windshield or see the chrome around the rear glass, there's another way they could tell from the side of the car. This right here was on the deluxe models. This right here is the piece of bright stainless that's attached to the car. Now, the standard cars had, I know you're going to remember when I tell you this, it was actually a glued-on piece of rubber, roughly about the same size that went on this side of the car. It was another way to show that you had the deluxe package. For your car buffs and guys who really know what you're talking about, you can open up a door to a lot of cars and tell the whole history really on the door jamb. And when you look at something like this here, same color as the car, rubber has never been pulled back. You'll see a little bit of some of the glue from the factory from early in the 50s, how they went and put it on. That went on through all the years. It's just the way they did them. These were factory cars. These weren't really built like a Rolls Royce or something that would be so obscure. You know, they claim this is perfect and that's perfect like you see at some of these shows. These cars were not perfect. They were built well, but they were not perfect. When you see some of these imperfections, that kind of shows that is the real deal. See the way the rubber goes all the way around? You're going to see on top, just up here we can hone in there, that's a little piece of glue that you kind of see kind of just hanging off. So when the factory guy ran his brush down there and went ahead and put the rubber on, they actually put the rubber on when the doors were off the car, but another needless said, but that's how they put them on. But look at the quality of the door jambs. These have never been changed, no overspray in the paint. That's what you kind of look for when you see if a car, somebody claims that the car's original car, because a lot of good restorers out there that can do touch-ups in quite a few areas. And I looked this car over pretty damn good, and I couldn't find anything whatsoever in this car that would ever show me anything that wouldn't be correct. Usually before I purchase a car, I look them over pretty good, especially with something with a high quality level like this. And what I really wanted the deluxe model, but I wanted the real deluxe model. Besides all the paperwork we have, the documentation that shows this car, the pedigree, really where it came from and all the stuff, that really nailed it down for me to go ahead and write the check. But being a deluxe, there's a lot of things you kind of need to know about them before you do that. And when you look into the car, you can see the interior. Now, interior, this is kind of a two-tone gray with the stripes in the seats. A standard car did not have interior that was really that quality looking. This has a cap on the top, on the dark gray up here, stripes on the side. This right here proves the interior is a deluxe model car. Anybody over the age of 45 will understand and see how this goes, like the waterfall style seats. Lift the seat up, and that's how you get into the back seat. There's enough room in the back seat of this car. Now, there's a rumor that more children were conceived in the back of a 51 Chevy seat than any other car on the market. Check it out. Let me know. I think the dashes and the steering wheel in this car is absolutely beautiful. But on the deluxe model, has a 2-bar wheel. Now, a standard car had a 3-bar, went here, here, and up here. Well, Deluxe had the 2-bar with this kind of a real gorgeous chrome piece for the horn ring and the center section. It just gives it an awful lot of class. And you can tell this car right here has the accessory of turn signals. Now, turn signals are really not a big thing coming in until the 50s start coming in with the dealerships to get them put onto the cars because, of course, it was a safety feature, and they wanted to get all they could in these cars. Standard cars had the standard knobs that were on the dash, just like these two here would be, all the way across the front. But being a deluxe automobile, they had a stainless steel insert on them that actually had some letters if they needed to be. This doesn't need a letter because that's on a light switch, but this right here has a stainless steel piece in the center around with the plastic on the outside. Now, all these models all had a push button starter for all of them, and they were all stick shift cars, and none of them were automatics until the latter 50s, until they came in to the cars. So these right here are pretty neat, and they drive just like clutches like butter. One thing I like is attention to detail and a lot of pretty cool things about these cars. And when they were sold from the factory, beyond a deluxe or a standard car, none of them came with white wall tires from the factory. They were all 15-inch wheels. They had the caps, which we would call a hub cap. You would have the painted stripe on the wheels on deluxe model cars, and then they had a small beauty ring with black walls. Now, the only car that came from the showroom floor with wide white walls would be a convertible. Believe it or not, when you go ahead and see this piece on the back of the trunk, this right here is actually, they call the lifting bar. You turn the key and lift up the trunk. There's a little bit of, you would call, there's some wear on it and whatnot, some little bit of tarnish. But what tells me that this is an original piece? And the quality level of this car, this is 1951. This car right here is nearly 65 years old, and it has this type of look. It does tell me that these are well made, and a lot of our parts were well made also. But it was kept, garage kept car, well taken taken care of, and that's why being one of the most well-documented and one of the nicest examples of a 51 Chevrolet in the world, this right here does help the car what it is. When you see that there, that just shows, of course, it's the real deal. Let's lift open the trunk here and how they stay open. A little bit noisy. They all have the creaks the way these rods are for the springs that hold them up, but it still has the tag. They put a tag in here on really how to mount and take out the spare tire. Believe it or not, flats were really kind of an occurrence with these cars. Not the car itself, just with what the technology was then, the type of tires they had. All the cars were having a good quality jack was very important to that. And some of the auto parts stores, aftermarket stores, had all types of jacks you'd do in a car. These right here were just a nylon tire. They had recaps back then. That'll be a whole nother show. They put a covering over it, but they got flats fairly easily on these type of tires and changing them on the road. And it's kind of relatively happened quite a bit. But you can see the way this whole trunk is lays out and it goes all the way back in there. They really did a nice job on these, and I think they're really spectacular. They're double lined, the way the latch is. These were really kind of neat cars. So take a look at the trunk in here and you see it's designed for the spare tire. All you car guys and car gals out there all know one thing: books are important. I used to say, when I hide something from me real valuable, hide it in a book, I'll never find it. But if you go ahead and come up with some of the books for cars, some neat information, I like them going to the car. So when this car here really came my way, what I thought was pretty neat, I got a hold of Ray Miller. Now, Ray Miller is actually the writer and the author of this particular book. A lot of Chevrolet books are done by Ray. This car was actually displayed, and this is the car that Ray decided to go ahead and use because it is the most well-documented 51 Chevy pretty much in the world, being 30,000 miles with locally bought and locally sold, and being a deluxe with all the options that really Chevrolet had to offer. Ray went ahead and decided to go ahead and put this particular car, use it as the example for his book. Pretty cool. Coming in the 50s, cars liked trim, and they were trying to make trim really be better and something different than everybody else. But 1951, they had this long trim that went over the back of the fender. But if you kind of notice, these taillights about 2.5 inches by 3 inches, today that would not be our standards. And you know, I always say safety first on the show, safety's always best, and all those things. I know this probably isn't the safest, but it's pretty cool because that's what was on the car. I love low-mile cars. I like one only, and I always say a car is only original once. Hope I gave you some good tips on some of these garage finds, barn finds, all the stuff that's out there. Look at the door jambs, look under the dash, see about the type of wiring. Because the odometer says that's the number, that kind of might not be the number. Look the car over and then see if you can go ahead and put 2 and 2. When you put 2 and 2 together on a car like this, it's pretty obvious it equals to 4. This is a pretty neat automobile. I really enjoy it, and I think I might be sending it to a new home. Haven't decided yet, but I'm telling you, I sure enjoy driving it, pulling out this time of year, taking a lot of the shows and all the stuff. 1951 Chevrolet Deluxe, I think, is a spectacular car to own. I hope you enjoyed the show, covered that Chevrolet. I'm telling you, they don't make them like that anymore. Hey, some upcoming shows are coming in. The 7-liter, we're going to bring you up to some new speed about the 7-liter. We had an engine completely custom built by a professional guy that's all he does is FE motors. He knows all about them from top to bottom, and we're going to remotor this car here. It's going to be at one of our other coming up events, so you're going to be pretty excited to see this car. The black on black 7-liter with a 4-speed. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show and see a lot of new stuff out there. We'll see you at Hot San Jose Nights coming in. God bless you, and see you the next time around.